we're joined on the phone right now by Hillary Clinton, the presumptive Democratic nominee. Secretary Clinton, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah.
So many people are waking up not just heartbroken and stunned, but also frustrated and exasperated because this has happened yet once again. You have ISIS, which was born in the last 8 years during the Obama administration, that has only grown in reach, in lethality, in influence. And the question, I guess, this morning is, what are you proposing that would be dramatically different, that would really do something about this scourge? You have a Republican candidate who's talking very tough. What are you saying that you will do that will really be different and really make a difference?
Well, first, I think we should remember the victims and their families. This is a terrible personal tragedy for all of them, as well as a real shock and tragedy for our country. So many people are still waiting to hear what happened to their loved ones who are unaccounted for. So I think we need to keep our focus there, as well as our thoughts with the first responders who risked their lives and performed incredibly bravely in Orlando. And even as we figure out more about what happened, we need to get to work. This was a terrorist attack. ISIS appears to be claiming credit for it. At a minimum, they seem to have inspired it. I have a plan to defend our country from the so-called lone wolves and to work with our allies to dismantle the global networks that fuel this kind of radicalization. I think we have to admit it's a complex challenge, but we are absolutely up to facing it. We have the resources, the relationships, the experiences. I want every American to know that. And there will be a lot of work going forward, as well as retrospective analysis about, what did we know about this shooter? What could we or should we have done? But we also have to, try to get this out of partisanship. It's a moment for statesmanship. It's a moment for everybody to come together and remember those who have been murdered, stand with every person who is suffering and grieving, and then try to figure out what we can do. I've been speaking out about this and laying out ideas that I think would make a difference for more than a year now.
Unfortunately, politics does enter into it, and we certainly saw that yesterday. Donald Trump, in particular, singled you out, as well as President Obama, for not using a certain term to describe these acts, the term radical Islam. The question is, why not? Why wouldn't you describe it that way? I guess the criticism on his part is that you're exalting niceties or political correctness over just calling something what it is, a vicious distortion of Islam.
Well, look, I think Trump, as usual, is obsessed with name-calling, and from my perspective, it matters what we do, not what we say. It mattered that we got bin Laden, not what name we called him. But if he is somehow suggesting I don't call this for what it is, he hasn't been listening. I have clearly said that we face terrorist enemies who use Islam to justify slaughtering innocent people. We have to stop them, and we will. We have to defeat radical jihadist terrorism, and we will. And to me, radical jihadism, radical Islamism, I think they mean the same thing. I'm happy to say either, but that's not the point. All this talk and, demagoguery and, rhetoric is not going to solve the problem. I'm not going to demonize and demagogue and declare war on an entire religion. That's just plain dangerous, and it plays into ISIS's hands.
This, of course, raises the issues of terrorism, of hate, and also gun policy in this country. After Newtown, after 20 first graders were killed, the president tried to pass universal background checks. Obviously, that was not successful. Why do you feel you may be more successful if elected and in the next Congress in doing something as minimal as that, or even, as I believe you've called for, getting assault weapons banned?
Well, I can only hope that people who are responsible gun owners will join us in this cause. How many more of these mass tragedies do we have to live through? This is the worst in American history. And, Savannah, there are so many killings every day that no longer even break into our consciousness. We have got to take action, and the majority of Americans, and indeed the majority of gun owners, agree with that. Let's keep weapons of war off our streets, like the one that was used in Orlando.
Why doesn't that translate into action if that's the case? I mean, continually you hear policymakers and the president say the American people are with us. They don't think that common sense gun reforms are a problem. And yet, even after you have 20 first graders killed, you can't even get the bare minimum of gun legislation passed. Why is that? What needs to change?
Well, it's not complicated. The gun lobby scares the heck out of elected officials and makes it a voting issue. We need to make it a voting issue. It is no longer, acceptable that elected officials at every level of government will not hear the cries, will not recognize the pain of the thousands, tens of thousands of people. Think about it. 33,000 people a year are killed by guns. Many, many more thousands are injured by guns. And we have got to make it clear that we're going to stand up to that. But look at this particular issue. The legislation Republicans blocked, the so-called no-fly list, would have prevented suspected terrorists from buying guns. It allows the Attorney General and the FBI to prevent a suspected terrorist from doing that. It would happen on a case-by-case basis. And we cannot fall into the trap set by the gun lobby that says if you can't stop every shooting and every incident, you should not try to stop any. That is not how laws work. It's not common sense. And we need to get these weapons of war off the streets. We had an assault weapons ban. It expired. And we need to reinstate it. From San Bernardino to Aurora, Colorado, to Sandy Hook, and now to Orlando, we have seen the devastation that these military-style weapons cause. And I believe that terrorists and dangerous individuals are using guns to kill Americans. It's just a fact. And we should make it a lot harder for them to do that. So that's going to be my goal. I've spoken about it all through this campaign. I'm going to continue to speak about it. And I believe that more people are willing to listen. They're not so intimidated. And we're going to try to put a huge coalition together of all the groups, all the individuals who care about this issue, those who have been touched by it, and try to get common sense gun safety reform passed in order to protect the people of our country.
Secretary Hillary Clinton, thank you for your time this morning. We got to leave it there, but we do appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to talk to you.
As you as
Bye.
well. And by the way, we'll also be talking to Donald Trump a little bit later in the
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.